I'm off too.
A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. And lots to get into today. We'll be joined by the good folks at Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox in mere moments. And again, lots to get into today. Obviously, the divisional round of the playoffs finishing up in the National Football League, and we are in to the AFC and NFC championship games here on Sunday. We'll talk some Penn State basketball today, Penn State wrestling, and who knows what other kind of trouble we may get into. Joel Embiid had himself a night. We don't very often talk NBA on this show, but 70 points, 18 rebounds. That's a pretty good night's work.
Against the only other big man in the league that actually is truly a big man.
Yeah, no, it was,
that was
pretty
one of those,
impressive.
like, hey, welcome to the NBA, young man.
Let me show you how this works.
Let me show you how this works. But seriously, 70 points. That's unbelievable.
That's impressive. Franchise record for the Sixers, the 18 rebounds, a personal best for Joel Embiid. So let's start, Goon. Let's actually talk a little college football first, and then we'll get into the NFL playoffs. What Ohio State is doing right now is remarkable. I know Penn State fans, and I'm with you. You don't want to see one of your, he's one of my favorites. There seems to be at least I think it's a minority of Penn State fans that are like, oh, O'Brien didn't know how to recruit or whatever. Like, do you have any clue as to the situation he walked into, dear imbeciles? But
versus what he was told versus what has happened.
Yes, I mean, any Penn State fan worth his salt that has any understanding, or her salt that has any understanding of the situation, realizes there is a tremendous debt of gratitude owed to Bill O'Brien for what he and, yes, the players that stayed did for this program. It is why we can sit around and talk about the disappointment of 10-2 seasons, is because they did not let this thing fall apart the way many were understandably predicting at the time. That being said, the hire, to me, Goon, I mean, this feels like one of those win-win. It makes a ton of sense for Bill O'Brien. First, let's start from the personal side. The medical facilities in Columbus, ask Adam Talaferro, are pretty doggone top-notch. And with Bill O'Brien's son, and that makes sense. I think Ohio State, listen, they are, right, it feels like they are pushing their chips. They are going all in on the upcoming season. They feel the heat from the 3 straight losses to Michigan. Again, it is ridiculous, but it is the standards that are set at different schools, and the fact that Ryan Day hasn't won a national title yet bothers some Ohio State fans, a good chunk of the fan base. So I think they are feeling tremendous pressure. Listen, they have resources. I know Penn State has resources. Everything is relative, right? But Ohio State is right up there with the Texas A&Ms, the Texases, the Alabamas, the Georgias. I mean, and maybe surpassing with what they're doing right now this year in terms of the NIL stuff and just the overall, again, the money that is pouring into that program. And it is one of the things, and I know, Penn State fans don't like to hear this, but and we've talked about this before. Penn State fans will complain about the money. Oh, man, you're spending all this money on James Franklin, and 10-2 is what you get. Again, just so we're clear, it is a lot of money, no doubt. Franklin is, and he may be even lower on the list now, but going into this past season, he was the number 11 highest paid coach. Well, where has Penn State been in the college football pantheon? Right in that 8 to 10 range. Well, you're getting value for the money is what I would argue. Penn State, the resources Penn State has are tremendous across the board. good athletic facilities across the board, but not Ohio State. The money and the resources that Penn State has, again, they are in that somewhere in the 10 to 20 range, right? I'm not exactly sure where they fall, but they're not Texas A&M,
Well, yeah,
Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia.
That's what I want to talk about.
Yep.
Alabama, we don't know how good that is because they are leaving there in droves right now.
Well,
and I'm under the impression that they weren't, like, how did I say this? They weren't one of the top guys because they was like the guys that were going to Alabama were like, okay, I'm going to go play for Nick Saban and play for national titles.
Yes.
I'll take the company discount. But now that Nick Saban is gone, now they're like, I'm not, I want as much as I possibly can right now. Hence why they have 26 guys in the transfer portal right now. So I don't know where exactly they were, but I know that they're not going to be that far behind real soon because I know that how their fan base works.
Correct. Yeah, I guess that's the.
Did you see the one Reddit thing? I mean, it was a farcical thing, but it said, "I either got to give the till at church or to Alabama football. God will understand that he'll get his money eventually, but Alabama needs to win national titles." That was one of the. It was a farce. Just so you know, it was not said, but it was actually knowing some Alabama fans.
Yes.
You could see where that actually probably has been said by many.
Yeah. So again, I do think Ohio State is going to be an interesting case study.
I have a feeling
in the upcoming season. Go ahead.
I have a feeling it's just like the Colorado thing. It's just like you're going to have all of this talent who were there for one reason. They're not there for the glory of Ohio State. They are not there. They are there. They're paid. They are mercenaries.
So that is exactly what I touched on I think it was on our morning show. I agree with you. So one of the things any coach at any level, in football in particular, but I guess any sport, but you're trying to build the team chemistry. And we talk about it all the time, Goon, football, the ultimate team game, right? You can have 10 players doing the great things. And if one guy is caught on a penalty or one guy doesn't make the block, and yes, I mean, it can blow up the whole thing. So one of the things that I think, again, James Franklin deserves more credit than I think he gets from the fan base is the culture that has been established here with his tenure at Penn State. The players that leave, overwhelmingly, I mean, there may be a couple of exceptions that we can go back and point at, but I actually can't think of them off the top of my head. Overwhelmingly, they are guys that it's like, yeah, I want more playing time. I'm not going to get it here. Thank you. I love Penn State, but I just want that opportunity. Well, that's cool. Like, nobody has a problem with that. Very rarely is a Penn State player leaving out of anger, dispute with the coaching staff, dispute with the other players, and all of that. And to be fair, I think the same thing could be said about Ohio State. I think Ryan Day has done a good job of creating that culture within the Buckeyes program as well. And Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, the same thing. I do think this season is going to be really interesting because this is different, right? With the number of guys that they have coming in. And listen, they are big-time players. There's no question about that. But can you manage all of those egos? And I think you're right. I'm not saying definitively that they're not going there to play for Ohio State, but I don't think you can definitively say right now that is why they're going. Like they're Ohio State, that I want to be part of that culture. I think it's, Ohio State's offering me how much money? Yes, I'm in. And it's different to go where the money is. And you see it in professional sports all the time, right? You get a big time player who has big time production, and then he goes to where the highest suitor, and that's fine. But a lot of times, right, Goon, you see that player, then it's like, it doesn't really quite fit the culture. You take the production, but it's like, this isn't. It kind of wrecked the chemistry of what you had in the clubhouse. And sometimes, the production can offset that. And sometimes it is a great fit and it works the whole way around.
Yep.
But I think it is a bigger challenge now that Ohio State has in the upcoming year. And I am really curious to see what this team looks like in the upcoming season. Talented, no doubt. Making a push for the national title, that is the expectation. And again, I think they are going all in. Is this the best way to go about it? We'll find out. Maybe
Currently,
it is. Maybe
yes.
at the end of
Currently
the year.
It is.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. Because again, it did not work out for like Texas A&M, Colorado. Now, Colorado's a little different situation, to be fair. I mean, Deion Sanders, yes, was trying to get that program kickstarted. And I would not say what they did was a failure. I think in many ways that was a win for the Colorado program. But, Ohio State's in a little different situation. That was a very stable program. Now it felt like it got very unstable, and now, it may be stabilizing, but it feels from the outside looking in like a little tenuous, right? And I think again, Bill O'Brien, I think, is a great hire. I like the coaches they have. I mean, that is a terrific group of coaches that Ohio State has assembled in Columbus. But whether or not they get the complete buy-in to what they're trying to do, we'll see. I think that's going to be a very interesting component to watch in the upcoming season.
This time next year, we're going to see where it's at, because they're going to have to do the same exact thing over again.
Yeah.
That is the weird part about us. You say we compare it to the NFL, going as a free agent to a new place because they're offering more money. That's fine, but you're not signing a 1-year deal there. Or you could even just go there for 4 months and then just skedaddle out. I mean, this is the Wild West. We have no idea where we are going right now. Our good friend Adam Brenneman down there in the Harrisburg area, former Penn State guy, he's on Mercury News, Mercury Sports Radio all the time. He talks a lot about 10 years from now, we're going to look back and say, what the hell were we thinking? Like, as a college football fan, like, honest to God, Jeff, how many people have you talked to who are done with college football? I mean, more so than I've ever heard in ever, really, to be honest with you. There are people who are just done with it. They're just like, it's just too much nickel and diamond. I'm just going to give you the regular fan aspect of it. And people ask me all the time, and I'm like, I mean, this is, you got to play the cards you're dealt. When the dealer has the cards right now, and that's the NCAA, and they are allowing this. So, people are like, oh, well, Penn State should, have this. And you can see where it's so crazy. But Ohio State is a different animal in this world, in the Big Ten, in my opinion. I think that losing to Michigan 2 years in a row has really, or 3 years in a row now, right? Is it 3?
3. Yeah.
That's really chapped them to the point where they are like, okay. And then,
there's no doubt.
There was an attitude like, okay, well, we have to do what we have to do to win, to beat this team and get back to where rightfully where we belong.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand it. But, I mean, it's a lot of money they're shelling out for these guys. And then you have no guarantee. There is no guarantee. I mean, 3 of them could go there and say, ow, my toe. I'm hurt. I'm out. I can't play. You know what I mean? It's so crazy. I mean, we constantly talk about this. I mean, you talk about people doing shots when talk about wrestling. I mean, we talk about NIL or anything like that. I mean, we wouldn't have any listeners. I mean, they'd all be dead probably. But it's such an it's unorganized, yes, but it's like we don't know where it is. To say it's the Wild West is probably a pretty good, thought process of what's going on with college football. And but again, Ohio State is different than us. I mean, yes, we are on the cusp. We have been on the cusp for 10 years, and I think that's where Penn State fans are at. Like, we've been talking about the same thing for 10 plus years. What has changed? Has anything changed? Have we gotten better here or there? I don't know. I'm just talking about in regards to, like, can Penn State go out and collect $15, $20 million for NIL? That's what Ohio State did. They went out and they made a concerted effort to say, we are going to buy a great team, and they have. And they're going to go into the season as ranked the number 1 team in the country. No doubt about that. And if they do lose, And then those guys that they are buying, again, they're not playing for the love of Ohio State. They are playing for the love. They're playing for money. They are mercenaries. They are professional athletes now. The sooner we get past saying they're college athletes now, the better. I mean, you have to think about these guys now as professional athletes, and that's because that's what they are. And then schools are paying it, and the schools are doing. I have no problem with the guys going after and doing it, but the game that we loved and we grew up loving and going and watching, it's gone, man. And I don't know if it's coming back. And I mean, I can sit there and talk to you. The last 2 years we've been talking about it. The locker room. How are they going to handle a defensive back from Alabama coming in and making? I don't know how much. I don't know how much he's getting paid, because those numbers never really come out. At least in the NFL, like contracts are like at least said how much they're paying.
Yep.
Yeah, and what do we know? What does Penn State know? How does Penn State know it's $13 million? I mean, this is the same people who said that Texas A&M spent $33 million on their recruiting class that every one of them left. And is there documentation that it was that much money? I don't know. That's just weird, man.
Yeah, well, and that's part of it too. Is there's now a lot of speculation and accusations, if you want to look at it that way. And there's a couple of things in play. One is, and we've talked about this before too, but if you want to play big time college football at the moment, like this is the world you're in. Again, you can complain about it, you cannot like it, that's fine. But if you try to take the moral high ground that no, we're not going to pay players, that's not what we do, that's not what college sports is. Again, fine, but you got to understand you're not going to be within sniffing distance of the top 20.
Correct.
Right? Like that's not possible in this world.
But Jeff, I mean, again, a lot of people talk to me about this. So a lot of people talk to you about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big thing, right?
Yeah.
So you hear a story, and this is where I'm at, and I know that people are at. Penn State just cashed the largest media check they've ever cashed in the history of Penn State athletics.
Yep.
And not one penny is going to athletes. And that's where people are at.
That is going to change.
That's what needs to change.
And it will. It'll either be, listen, with where we're at and with everything that is going on, either the Power 5 conferences will get together, and that's what I think will happen, and get together and say, listen, we have got to rework this, put some parameters in place.
Correct.
And yes, I don't know what the formula is. I don't know if it's a percentage, it's just straight, but it is pay. It is going to be pay to play. They can phrase it any way they want. They can change the language, but it is going to be, yes, you come here and you play for 4 years for our institution, you get X amount of money per year guaranteed. And then, and maybe not get, maybe, you have to be working toward your degree, whatever. Again, the lawyers are going to come out smelling like roses in this, because they are going to, the letters of intent, which have always been contracts to some extent, but I mean, they are just going to be flat out business contracts. Hey,
they're binding.
This is what is expected and required of you, and this is what is required or expected from the university. And in that will be some monetary exchange. Now, again, maybe it's something where you get that money, it is you get a certain stipend, and then you get the rest when you finish up your career or at the end of each year or whatever it is. If they don't do that, and I think they will, because they know that if they don't, I think much sooner rather than later, what is going to happen is the student athletes are going to get together and file a suit saying we are bringing in all of this money for the university, and the university needs to start sharing that with us. And I've argued over the years, and I think I'm right about it, is that the student athletes were getting something. A free education is a big deal, especially at a school like Penn State. If you are getting tuition, room and board, books, all covered,
Correct.
right? Like that is a big deal. That being said, with the money that is involved here now, and with the courts ruling the way that they have, I mean, there's just no way around it. There is going to be, in addition to that, this amount of money. Now, it may also be written in there that, hey, if you don't finish the 4 years of eligibility here at our school, then you need to pay back X amount. I mean, I don't know how all of the, like, we're going to get into minutia, and I don't know how any of that is going to play out. But there are going to be, I think, clear stipulations put in place in terms of, like, you're not going to be guaranteed money and then you come in and you transfer before you ever play down and you still get the money, right? Like, I think that is not going to happen moving forward. And I don't mean not happen this year. I think we're still in this wild, wild west phase, but I think this phase is coming to an end quickly. I think within the next couple of years.
It's all people are talking about. Okay.
Well, and what is still unknown, and I've gotten into a couple of interesting discussions. So there are some really interesting pieces out there on what this could look like for college athletics, intercollegiate athletics, above and beyond college football and men's college basketball. And we've talked about it. I mean, I think one of the possibilities is that football and maybe basketball to some degree kind of go off on their own, and they're basically their own little leagues, and the other sports go back to more of a club style. I think more likely,
you say club,
in the stuff I'm reading,
Ivy League, right? You've said that word in the past.
Yeah, similar. Yeah, what Penn State hockey was, what Penn State rugby is. Again, you'll still have competitive opportunities. You can go and travel. It'll be much more regional, which I could argue is not a bad thing at all. You can still have national tournaments, but you're not going to have the scholarships, the athletic scholarships involved, and the money that is currently involved with recruiting and travel being afforded those Olympic or non-revenue sports.
Do you think I mean, I love your scenario. Trust me. I mean, I have been behind it since the start. But do you think that they pull scholarships, so a wrestling program would no longer have scholarships?
Correct. That would be what. Yes, that is one of the possibilities. Now, the other thing that they're talking about is kind of setting up. I don't know what legally, if it's like a 401c, but it would basically be setting up non-profits for the non-revenue sports that would be supported by the football and basketball program. So the athletic departments, again, would have expenses that would be written off for football and basketball, obviously revenues for that, and part of the revenues would be offset by, again, I don't know if the language would be such, but a contribution in essence to support the non-revenue sports. Listen, I think it is certainly possible that what we end up with is more limited in terms of what we would call varsity sports, the scholarship opportunities for the sports outside of football and basketball, and where you have like Iowa and Penn State and Oklahoma State, that like they're going to go all in on wrestling for as long as they can. It's important to their overall
Penn State
culture.
will pay for that.
Correct. Okay. There is, Tennessee women's basketball is huge in certain pockets, and there's probably going to need to be some offset with men's basketball.
Sure, wrestling can get
but
a TV deal.
There's going to be certain areas where, again, gymnastics is wildly popular. They're going to continue to support it, but I strongly suspect, and I hope I'm wrong, but I strongly suspect we're going to see limited scholarship opportunities for the non-football and basketball sports, what we call the Olympic or non-revenue sports.
So we go back
in
to
college
what
athletics.
I told you what Russ Rose said that in 1991 when they announced that Penn State is in the Big Ten. He says, I just picked up 5 more scholarships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they went to 9-9 because they weren't at that.
Right.
Yeah. So that helped him out a little bit. But we're going to go back to that. See, when you say, and I thought about it, imagine that. I thought about it before I spoke. I can't believe I did that, Jeffrey. You say the Ivy League mold or Ivy League, whatever. They all have scholarships, right? They are all need-based and academic granted scholarships.
I mean, yeah, they don't all. You mean all the schools have scholarships, or all of the athletes?
No, the Ivy League schools are not. There's no athletic grants and grant aids. There's no scholarships in. It's all academic and need-based. I thought in the Ivy League.
That is what they will tell you. Yes.
Okay, so there are ways around the type of thing.
Well, I mean, there are many that suspect that there is the occasional lowering of a standard to get a particular athlete or a few in.
Well,
that's again, accusations. I'm not privy to the.
I do want to throw this into the
workings
ring, and that is that we get to the point where it's like you are worried about the athletes getting paid, but if they get over a certain threshold, they literally should be paying for their own scholarship, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, remember the early '90s UNLV teams, and the point guard was
the
last name was Anthony.
Yeah,
he owned a T-shirt business, and he was supplying all these T-shirts throughout like the whole UNLV run and stuff like that. And he was selling them. And you know how he stayed eligible? He said, "I'm a walk-on. I paid for my own scholarship with the money he was making through his T-shirt company." So you wonder if they can go back to that somehow and say, but then they'd have to monitor. And again, it's just so like, think about the galaxies right now, or our solar system, and 8 planets and this and that, and that's literally how far where everything is. We got to bring all 8 in back into the sun, really, pretty much, because it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Just again, you've heard me enough shaking my head about it for the last 2-3 years, and now. What is it going to take for just people just getting frustrated with the whole situation and the whole thing? And that is, this is not working, or I don't know. Does it take 5 years of it? Again, I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
When does the NCAA come in and say, okay, we need to monitor this? I mean, how many people? That's all we talk about. There's enough sports on television, but all people are talking about is is Ohio State. They bought this brand new recruiting class in, and all these transfers, and they paid $13 million, and that's they're going to be number one. If they go out and be number one in the country, you know how many schools are going to go do the exact same thing? You almost want Ohio State to fall flat in their face. You really do. I mean, or it's just going to get worse. It's just going to keep going like that, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse each year. I mean, and there's a lot of richer schools. There's a lot of rich people out there who are fans, and again, I just shake my head at the whole thing. It's just like, I don't know what the answer is. We can sit here and talk about it back and forth for hours upon hours like we have. It is absolutely crazy. I mean, the $13 million for what they bought in is just absolutely insane. The number one players across the country in all these positions. I mean, they have like 12 to 15 5-stars on their team right now. That's crazy.
It is. And that is, again, I think we'll see how it plays out, because I do think there is a danger, and just, we'll see what happens with the Dodgers. Like, everybody is now, Dodgers giving them the World Series title. Let's see. Injuries play a fact, but the chemistry, and you don't know. Baseball's a little different too, where you have slumps, and that you don't know from one season to the next with certainty how a player is going to perform. Do have Denny asking, what do you do with the endowments already in place, like Penn State wrestling? Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to. That is something that will be addressed, obviously, because there's going to be a bunch of endowments that will potentially be affected throughout intercollegiate athletics. And
now you're talking about
maybe
endowed scholarships. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Like, does wrestling have it same as football? Because like
yes.
starting quarterback gets the Kerry Collins scholarship.
Yeah.
Okay, is that how it's set up?
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's a great question. And
crazy.
If it does go down that path, and again, maybe it what I think is going to be interesting, well, one of the things that is going to be interesting is, does a conference like the Big Ten, as it currently exists, and who knows what the conference structure looks like even in 5 years as well, but
also true.
Does a conference like the Big Ten even try to maintain the number of varsity sports that it has now? This has been a competitive disadvantage. And again, fans don't like to hear it. Well, but Penn State just isn't winning. Our coach stinks. He doesn't know how to win the big games. Well, there's a lot of things that come into play. And you can say I'm making excuses. And listen, Michigan has a broad-based athletic program as well. Ohio State has an extremely broad-based athletic program as well. So I'm not saying because Penn State has the 31, is it 31 and 32 now, varsity sports, that it can't compete with the big boys. Obviously, again, this is one component that comes into play, but it clearly is a disadvantage for a conference like the Big Ten that has schools like Ohio State and Penn State and Michigan. And they're overcoming the disadvantage in many cases. I understand that, but it still is a disadvantage that takes place. I mean, it's just like the Kansas City Royals can get to the World Series once in a blue moon. It doesn't mean that the New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers don't have inherent distinct advantages over the Royals. And just to pick a team out there that has had some success over a period of time. But when you look at, again, 31 or 32 varsity programs versus in the SEC, there are some, I think, that only have 14 varsity sports, but a lot have 16 to 18. Well, that is, again, they're both divvying up a big pie, right? They're both getting a lot of money in from media rights and bowl games and all of it. But the Big Ten is dividing that pie, well, now among 18 schools, number one, and number two, then each school among whatever it is. Again, in Penn State's case, I think it's 31 varsity sports, whereas in Alabama it's around 16 to 18 varsity
Florida's
sports.
That's Florida's very similar.
Yeah, they're getting each of those programs. So it's not just football and basketball, right? Like their other programs then are also getting a bigger slice of the pie. So people, again, you get frustrated. How come Penn State baseball isn't winning World Series titles? Again, a lot of factors come into play, but one of them is, yeah, there is an advantage to schools that only have 16 to 18 varsity programs versus those that have 30 to 32. Clearly, I mean, within those programs.
If you have basketball and football conferences, I mean, you might need you probably have a whole second athletic department for those two type of things. And I do want to say this too, is like, you don't hear this about basketball, about all the money being raised and stuff like that. Are they just that dirty and it's just that common that it's just like, yeah, whatever, they paid them. I mean, you don't really hear it. I mean, or it's just people just don't care enough about basketball. They just care about much more about football.
Well, around here, that's probably the case. I'm not so sure. They're not talking a little more about it,
like Kansas,
in Kentucky, and
Syracuse,
yes, North Carolina, and places like that. Obviously, we'll continue to follow it very closely. Before we take our first break, actually, let's take our first break. When we come back, I want to pick up on the, and we will get to the NFL playoffs, I promise, but I want to pick up on the Caitlin King situation with Ohio State and her and the fan running into each other, and what that may mean or what that may portend down the road for post-game celebrations in basketball. And we'll pick up on that on the other side of our first timeout of the afternoon as we continue with more on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Again, we are at Quaker Steak and Lube, our normal home on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. We invite you to come on down. The all-you-can-eat wing buffet is less than a half an hour away. You can come down and enjoy a great array of wings and check out all of the different sauces. Also, of course, this is a great place to come down and watch your favorite sports or sports teams. Again, great food, great beverages, and great service here at Quaker Steak and Lube. We're coming right back.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
You tansy busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
Our thanks, by the way, to Timberland, as well as Lion Country Kia, Sioka Motors, and, of course, Quaker Steak and Lube, our home here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Caitlin Clark situation. If you didn't see it, you can Google it, and you'll get the video coming up very quickly. Just Caitlin Clark colliding with Ohio State fan or something to that effect, and you can see the video. But after Ohio State upset Iowa, and by the way, let me preface all of this by saying I am a huge Caitlin Clark fan. Like what she, not just as a player, but at least the way she carries herself as a person, she seems at least like an absolutely fantastic human being. She is certainly a remarkable basketball player and competitor. Like she has a competitive juice to her, aside from obviously being a very skilled player. So
she an Iowa girl, do you know?
After the game, I don't know. After the game, Clark is trying to run off of the court. Her team has lost to Ohio State. The Ohio State fans are storming the court after a big win over the Hawkeyes. And Clark and a fan who is running onto the court, they don't see each other. I keep seeing in a lot of the headlines that like the fan blindsided Caitlin Clark. Well, Clark blindsided the fan as well. Like it wasn't, neither of them saw each other. And it's a little amazing to me that neither of them saw each other just with peripheral vision. But Clark is flying off the court. Like, I mean, she is running, sprinting. And she hits the woman, or the woman, they collide.
Yes.
I mean, people keep saying it was an accidental collision. And Clark flies to the ground and ends up getting helped up to the back to the locker room. She's fine at the end of it. The fan obviously was fine. I'm not sure the fan really realized that. She knew that they collided. I mean, she looks over, but then she kind of just walks into the middle of the court. I'm not sure she realized that Clark went down as a result of the collision. What I suspect is going to happen, and my opinion only, and I think I'm going to get overwhelmed with folks in opposition, but I think this was just a fluke accident. And it happens on playgrounds all the time. You get two kids just running around and boom, they run into each other and breath gets knocked out of one, or, you know, occasionally you get blood, you hit just wrong and you get the chin bleeding or whatever. And it's life.
It's more shock than anything else.
Yes.
Especially when little kids hit.
But what I think is going to end up happening, and you know, maybe at the end of the day, in the crazy world we're living in, it's not a bad thing. I mean, think back to Monica Seles and the tennis court and how they ended up changing things there on the tennis court. You know, football stadiums have changed because some folks got injured with the goalposts being torn down. Now, you still see that occasionally, but not very often anymore. Most stadiums now enforce keeping fans off the field. Oh, yeah.
That happened?
Yeah.
Those things come down, man.
Oh, yeah.
I remember watching it
after the Nebraska game. Yeah. Well, the easy answer to that. Yeah, the answer to that is that you can. Well, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole, but wooden goalposts. Go back to the old wooden goalposts, and you don't have to worry about it. There's no metal. The cost is much less. No big deal if the goalposts come down. Anyways, that's another,
like Joe
another
taking
discussion.
Face masks off, and that'll take away the hard hitting and rips.
And which it absolutely would.
It
absolutely would. So. Anyway,
all right, story time with Goon with in regards to players and fans.
So the storming of the court, though, and you know,
we did it last week against Wisconsin,
and Penn State fans got made fun of. I don't know if you saw that Yahoo Sports call. It was like, really, we're at a point where we're going to storm the court for beating the number 11 team in the country. It's like, well, yeah, for where this program has been and what that meant to this year's program. Yep, you would. And again, at the end of the day, what do you care if fans somewhere else are having fun? What does it matter to you?
Everybody else has to put their 2 cents in.
So, yeah. Anyways. Yeah. But, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead with your...
I mean, I'm with you. But I did see the goalposts come down when I was a kid watching my brother play back in, you were in the stands too. Those things come down, man. They land pretty hard, and it's amazing They're only, I mean, I do remember one documented case of a person getting hit by them.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's brain damage and possibly death involved. Those things are big and heavy, man. So for some stupid reason, there are still college towns and college stadiums, i.e. Ohio State, and I know for a fact Illinois, where we have to cross each other's, as a team, before game and after the game, we have to cross each other's paths getting to the locker room. And it's the dumbest thing ever. Well, the other one is Michigan, who has to run through they have to run through your sideline to get to their sideline. It's like, in my opinion, it's disrespect, and trust me, they make a big thing of it that it is disrespect. But okay, so Ohio State, they come running off the field, we come running off the field, or they have to hold off, and this is like yammering back and forth. So they stormed the field in '93. Their fans did, and maybe it wasn't the fans, but we had an assistant trainer named Charlie, an older guy, not a super old guy, but I am not lying to you. When I saw him get hit by a fan or somebody within the program or from Ohio State or a player, he got crippled. It's just hammered. And I'm just like, oh my God. Because it's like, you don't realize how, players are big, and this is an older guy running across the field, and he just got from the side and just got hit by this fan and just drilled. And that's what you thought that happened to Caitlin Clark. And then you go and watch, is her name Caitlin Clark, right? You go and watch that film and you're like, whoa, she didn't get hit that hard for her to be falling down like that and holding her head because she didn't get her head hit or whatever. But I do understand how people are like, there are issues. I mean, we're talking about giving 2 hours of school off a day because of a rain or ice storms, possibly because there are threats of lawsuits.
Yeah.
But running onto the court, that is definitely, because what's the stop? I mean, honest to God, you're, as a player, what if it was the last second play of the game? You're so full of emotion and somebody gets in your face. It's a miracle it hasn't happened more often.
It is,
you know what I mean?
as you think about it, because, and again, you start playing out worst case scenarios.
Sure.
What if somebody just accidentally steps on somebody's ankle and it twists it, and it's right before the postseason tournaments, and all of a sudden you have a player with a high ankle sprain because of a post-game court celebration, right? So I mean, I understand it as far as it goes, and maybe it is high time that part of it goes away. There's a couple of things that I think, though, will come into play. And listen, the other part is, in this day and age, I mean, again, it takes one drunken idiot, or just one idiot. Doesn't even have to be a drunken idiot, but who gets down there and you don't like a certain player on the other team and you cold cock them, or I mean, it hasn't happened, and thankfully, and you'd like to think, oh, come on, it never would. Well, I never would have thought Monica Seles, or a professional tennis player, would be stabbed from behind either during a match, right? Like, that is not something that, as you're sitting there watching, even enters your thought process. So, but in this day and age, and with the money now involved in college athletics and the money that fans are paying, right? Like, you can see a scenario where, this gets way out of hand. And again, even barring that, let's say that everybody does keep their heads in that regard. Again, just an accidental, as you said, it probably is a little surprising that we haven't had somewhere along the way somebody just get injured, have a significant injury just because they got swarmed under in the celebration. But the cost involved. So stadiums now, most of them anyway, I think all of the Power 5 conference stadiums probably now have additional security. Like, if it's a big game, maybe not for a MAC opponent if you're Penn State, but when Ohio State or Michigan comes in, they are hiring additional security on the field. They're making those announcements in the fourth quarter. You need to stay off the field at the end of the game. And you see the security, they surround the goalposts, and to the best they can, they keep folks off the field altogether. But it's an additional expense for the university. I don't know how many, like, how long would it take to curtail that? They've curtailed it pretty well in college football. Again, there are exceptions every season, but not anywhere near the number of on-field celebrations that we used to see with fans coming down. I don't know how many people it would take security-wise, the additional cost there. And again, do you do it just when there's a ranked team, like for Penn State, when it's a top 5 team, or North Carolina if you're Duke? I mean, I don't, obviously there's some judgment calls involved here, but it is additional expense and additional headache. And I think it would take some time to get the culture changed. Now, if you have a strong security force, you can enforce that culture change pretty quickly in college basketball. And listen, at the end of the day, I get it. You're there to watch the event. You can go home happy. Not the end of the world by any stretch. I'm just telling you, sentimental me, like I loved those scenes at Beaver Stadium of the fans going down to the field, watching the goalpost come down, watching the goalpost go down College Avenue. Is the world a worse place because you're not doing that now? Probably not. They were neat memories. Storming the court after those big wins, neat memories. Needed? Probably not. Necessary? No. Again, is it going to be that big of a deal if that is ended or curtailed? Probably not, but there's just a part of me that's going to be like, dang it, I missed that. And then again, you move on. Where I think I come down on it, but I feel like this is going to end up leading down that path.
I believe so. I really do. I mean, the SEC, what is it, 500K? That's the
storm in the field. Now,
I mean, that's a pretty substantial amount of money for a university to eat up there. So that's how it starts. But then you have a team like Tennessee who beats Alabama 2 years ago. But you have the whole field covered with people and this and that. What if there's Alabama guys that trying to get off the field? They're running, and they're big people in uniform, in helmets and in pads, just running people over.
Yeah.
Again, people. But then once you step on that field, you are no longer protected. You are trespassing. Is what people. So what was it? 2005 when we beat Ohio State, and they started the cops stopped the people from storming the field. I know that one of our video guys tried to get onto the field, and they maced him. And he was sitting there holding a sideline pass. Literally, he's standing there like this. Like, I have a side, and they maced him because he was getting on the – and it was just like, wow.
Not the same thing, but it just reminds me of that. Well, no, the story I'm about to tell. So one of my favorite Joe Paterno stories, and I think it's been a while since I've told this one, but we were I don't know if they still do it. They used to have a coach's clinic. Okay.
Well, you know what? I don't know if they do. So
yeah. So Pat Boland was the one that God rest his soul, the chief, got us he started, I think, his freshman year at Penn State. He got a pass and would go in as
coach.
Yeah, as a coach, and just get a little inside intel, if you will, and knew a lot of the coaches, and so he got me involved in doing that, and it was interesting. Well, eventually Joe Paterno did loosen up a little bit, and I think it was during that week, Coaches Clinic week, there was a practice where they would allow the media in, and this particular practice, anyway, was you were allowed to film, I'll say, the first 10 minutes. And then cameras had to be off.
Gotcha. And that's for everybody. Then now,
correct. So we go in.
Set the scene. There are 1,000 coaches around the field.
Well, yeah. So this one, this one was, this was not, this was a media session.
All right.
Media was allowed in. I think coaches may have been in the stands for this one. Media was allowed on the field. And again, you could film 10 minutes, whatever it was.
Yep.
And then cameras had to be off. We obviously didn't have cameras. We're radio guys, so we're just there. And then you could watch the next, whatever it was, half hour. So we're down on the field and we're watching, and practice is going on and observing everything. And all of a sudden, this is about 20 minutes into the practice now. The session has been over for videotaping for a while. And Joe is around midfield, and he looks down in the end zone, and he starts screaming, and he is walking down. You're not allowed to have that camera on. I can see it running. I see the red light. He's running down. One of the assistants, and I don't remember now. I want to say it was Tom Bradley, but I'm not positive about that part of it now. But one of the assistants is trying to run over and trying to catch up to Joe, and Joe gets in this guy's face, and this it's like a college kid, and he's looking up at him, and he's like, and Joe's like, "What are you doing?" And finally Bradley's like, "Joe, it's our guy. He's videotaping the practice for us." It was the kid that that is their video team, so that they can go down and break down the practice later. He was, and to his credit, Joe then laughed and made fun of himself about it. But
it's amazing how fast the old man was, wasn't it?
So worked up.
He could get going a little bit for 77.
He was so fired up and angry. And then again, like I said, to his credit, that he laughed about it and he apologized to the. I mean, at this point, it's like you told me that I'm trying to tape the practice. Coach, you told me to do.
Coach, I work for you. That is very funny, and I can see it. I see it like it's plain as day right there.
Yeah.
He would see it. We used to call him a velociraptor when we were coaching. Like when he was in one of those crabby moods, you just didn't want to mess up, or you just like if you just stayed like motionless, like. But once you moved, he would, and like he hunted by his vision. So, like I said, yesterday was 12-year anniversary of his passing.
Yeah.
Yep, 12 years. 12 years yesterday. So we lost the old man.
Yeah.
But he was adamant about the whole filming of practices and who was in practices and not, which I always used to say. I mean, these guys in the coaches clinic, that was the worst weekend for the spring for football players. I don't know if I ever talked to you about that, but everybody's high school coaches are at the practice.
Yeah,
and you don't want to look bad in front of your high school coaches.
Right.
So Friday afternoon, you're in a half pad practice. You may as well have been in full pads than playing in the Rose Bowl. I mean, that's how hard everybody's going. And all that. It's like, just take the pads off. My goodness. And then we would have a scrimmage the next day, and the coaches would be lined around the field. And the one year was when Sean Lee blew his knee out, like the last play of the practice. And first of all, you had to say to yourself, what the hell is he doing in there going into his last year type of thing. It is what it is. He was not going to be held out. That was on him. That's how he played the game.
Yeah.
So he called. This is not a lie. Joe called everybody in and says, "Hey, you saw something out here. Let's just keep it down. Don't let anybody notice. Yeah, you know, somebody may have gotten hurt out there. You saw it. I saw it. You know, we don't know what it is yet. We'll release the news." And by the time you got back into the locker room, into the football locker room when we were in the weight room, you got on Twitter, you got on your Facebook page, or this or that, or Brennan's 24/7, which was Fight on State then. Blue White Illustrated, Sean Lee injured at practice, and it wasn't even 10 minutes after he pleaded with everybody, and you can't contain it. But he tried to do as much as he could with that. But and then James, I believe Wednesday's game practices, the first 10 minutes of practice is allowed to be videoed by the media, and then they have to scurry away. So, but it is, I mean, there are people out there. So, coaches are paranoid, like type of thing.
Oh yeah.
Like if you were to have a coaches clinic, but who's to stop somebody? I mean, I don't want to say the words University of Connor Stallions, but I mean, why couldn't you send somebody into that practice and just watch the practice and say you coach at so and such a high school and.
Right.
I'm out in Platteville, Michigan, and this is where I coach. And do they check everybody's credentials? I don't know. But it was always the worst time. I used to say that, but that's funny. He was yelling at a kid.
Oh, it was
on the staff to film.
Everybody just broke up once, figured out what was. actually happening.
Oh,
We'll take a break here. You are listening to WFXS, Pleasant Gap State College, and Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. Also tuning us in on Facebook Live here on this Tuesday afternoon. Again, we do the show every Tuesday and Thursday, or at least most Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 5 here. And we appreciate Quaker Steak and Lube hosting us. They are just getting underway with the all-you-can-eat wing buffet as we speak. When we come back, we will talk some NFL playoffs, observations, news, and notes from the weekend that was and the weekend that will be. We continue with the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show in, mere minutes here on Sports Radio 98.7. The Fox.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Your hands, busboy. Your wings suck. I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
He has his own. We welcome you back. Sorry, we get into discussions and we're not paying attention.
Imagine that. ADD boys over here.
It's a shocking development.
That was the fastest commercial we've ever had right there.
I may have hit something inadvertently. No, I don't think so. I think that was three minutes. It just, we were.
Time flies when you're talking about bad stuff, right?
It does indeed. Cancer sucks is the bottom line.
Yes.
And our hearts go out to anybody and everybody fighting the horrific disease.
The real C word.
Let's move to NFL action, Goon, and I want to start.
Good.
I mean, the story of the weekend. Am I right?
You got to say it. Jason
Kelce, shirtless baby, stealing the thunder from Taylor Swift, and that was. I'm sorry, that was fun.
It was. It was awesome.
Fun.
do you feel as if it was stealing attention away from the teams?
I don't.
No.
I don't.
I just think it was, that's him. That's his.
And I think it was so genuine. And I don't think he was
idiot.
aware. Well, and I don't think he was aware of the TV coverage, at least initially. That first time, I don't think he was, because he was coming down like he was getting egged on by the fans.
That was hilarious.
Well, he jumps out. It was, I don't know.
I suspected something when I saw at 1 in the afternoon. They say I saw on Broad Street, Billy Broad Street, Twitter or X, whatever the heck we're calling it now. They said Jason Kelsey is being initiated in the Bills Mafia, and I said, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
And then they show him on a parking lot doing shots out of bowling balls.
Yes.
And I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a great one." I really, really, really is. So I don't know. Have you watched the documentary of him and his brother and him and his wife and his family and all?
No.
Oh, it's so good. It is really, anybody who hasn't watched it's really good. And it just really explains him. He's just a down-to-earth idiot. I mean, honest to God, I mean, again, you or I act like that. I have acted like that in my past. I get yelled at for it. And
I don't know. I certainly have never,
never
be caught.
Never, ever. Have I ever? Never have I. Yeah, but I mean, that's just like how he acted and stuff like that. That is truly, genuinely him.
That's just hilarious.
Every story I hear about him, and everybody who's ever met him, it's like he just makes everybody around him have a great time.
Yeah,
and it's just him personified. And honest to God, it was. I usually, first of all, I'm the one I have to say it. I can't stand the Taylor Swift thing up there that they have to show her every third play and this and that. And the fact that they showed her and Mahomes' wife hugging, but in the background is a barrel-chested, big mutant Yeti up there whacking beers down.
Hugging, yeah.
Yeah, he's just sitting there, and it's just like, there's a new dude. And I think that he said that it was so hot up in that suite that he had to take his shirt off because he was like, I'm a sweater. It is what it is. I mean, just everything about it has been funny. And even Carrie was just loving it. And I was just showing her. I said, he just jumped out of the suite. She's like, shut up. And I sent her the tweet. And I was like, look, he's in the crowd right now.
Yeah.
And it was funny seeing the different angles and this and that. He was egging them on. And then they were all buddies. And then if you watched a lot of the little videos of blurbs or TikToks you see of it, there is a dude who hangs out the window and he says, Jason, God, he says, get your up here now. And you see him turn around like he just got scolded by his mom, and Kylie is his mom, is his mother, or his wife, excuse me. And the guy says, "Get your A word back up in here." She said it, and he turns around like nothing and just goes up, hops into the suite like nothing happened. And it was like, I wasn't doing that, Mom. I swear to God. So
now we're moving on.
But Carrie was laughing. She loves the two of them. They're very, very kindred spirits and this and that. And she married an idiot. And I look at my wife and I'm like, you married the same freaking thing. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, Kelsey, that was absolutely awesome.
It was hilarious.
Absolutely awesome. And then we get into the games. I am a conference Sunday game guy. That's my favorite day of the year. Because there's really two Super Bowl games that are really good. But I got to say, all four of those games this weekend were outstanding.
Yeah, the game I was most looking forward to was that Chiefs-Bills game. And listen, it was another great game. I mean, it really was. It is one of those, I mean, so I'm going to make the comparison. I think Josh Allen and the Bills, and I have to believe the Bills fans now, are where Penn State fans are with, James Franklin and the Ohio State in particular, I guess Michigan to a lesser extent as well.
Very nice comparison.
Where, and again, in this situation, it has to be beyond frustrating. And listen, I'm kind of a bandwagon Bills guy, I guess, if you will. But I mean, I like Sean McDermott. I was a Jim Kelly fan, and then some things happened that made me a bigger Jim Kelly fan. So the Bills have always been kind of my, not always, but in the last, 20 years, they're kind of my second team. Now, a clear second, let the record show. I mean, the Steelers are my team, no doubt about that. But once the Steelers are out, it's like, yeah, I'd like to see the Bills do it. What I think is especially frustrating about this particular game, well, there's a few things. One is they truly felt, I mean, it was kind of like I think Penn State fans felt this year about that Ohio State game. It's like, man, I think this is the year we match up well. Now, I will say the injuries, and I get the Chiefs have injuries too, but man, the amount of injuries that the Bills were trying to play through is remarkable.
Yes.
And the fact that they played as well as they did, given the injuries in some of the key spots, is actually a testament to Sean McDermott and the resolve of that franchise. But you're home. It felt like they were surging. Well, they were surging. I mean, they poured it on at the end of the season just to get in the playoffs and then to get the home field advantage and all of it. And it just felt, right, going in like, okay, this is their time.
Yes, it was.
And
the Chiefs were stumbling in a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah. So
that's their best team out there.
And then, Mahomes does make some unbelievable plays in clutch moments, but it felt like the Bills had matched him. And then you get wide right, of course, for the Bills, and it costs you an opportunity anyway to potentially continue that game. And again, who knows? We'll never know what happens if you get there. But it felt like Buffalo had done everything it could do to at least get to overtime and give itself a real chance.
How'd you feel about the punt, the fake punt?
I understand it, and they clearly, I mean, they felt like they had it with the 10 men, right?
Yes.
But man, you got to be sure. And I get pre-snap. I'm sure they're telling you, listen, we are sure we have this. I didn't love it. Obviously, hate it when you don't make it. I mean, it's a killer. But their defense responded, man. Big time. Yeah, I didn't love it, but I didn't know. Give credit. I will say they were on top of it with the CBS's coverage. That hey, the reason
Buffalo,
that they did that with the 10.
But I think that they realized that, okay, we only have so many bullets left in our gun because of the injuries and stuff like that. We have to make something happen. You know what I mean? But I know. At the time, it was bad.
It's like,
well, I want you to read this. You can read it on the air. This blew my mind reading that last night. It's not bad, trust me. I'm not going to set you up, Ironhead.
14 games played, 0 sacks, 5 tackles, $14.9 million goes to
Von Miller. Had 0
almost
sacks.
$3 million per tackle.
$15 million he was paid. He had 0 sacks and 5 tackles and 14 games played.
Yeah.
And you had 4 defensive starters out. And you had A.J. Klein out there who was literally, they were just picking on, A.J. Klein was the linebacker who was 10 days before they said he was on a vacation with his family because he was pretty much retired from the NFL.
Yeah.
And then they have him out there starting the last 2 weeks. And he did very well the week before, but, time catches up to everybody, and I think that they attacked him repeatedly over and over.
Oh yeah,
but they were just as we look up there, and Kelsey's topless out there. So the fake punt wasn't the death knell because it didn't come back.
No,
but it just seemed desperate at the time and
unnecessarily desperate, right?
Yeah, you were down 3. There was 9 minutes, 10 minutes to go in the game. You had. But I could just see where they had, Sean had to feel like, okay, well, you know what? We got to do it now.
Well, I think they saw I do think they got it right. That they saw the 10 men on the field and obviously felt like they were in position to block that up so that they could get it. But it wasn't even that close.
To who? And then that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They faced with DeMar Hamlin. I mean, could you imagine the stories coming out of that? I mean,
no, the place. I mean, it would have been the script that Buffalo fans wanted, right? You get it.
Now, I don't know if you were looking up there about with Josh Allen's money next year. That's going to be a different Buffalo team going out in that field next year.
And listen, it was a different Kansas City team this year because of the money that Mahomes is getting. And, I will say you can not like Kansas City. And listen, the typical fan, it's like, I loved Kansas City when they were first in there, and now it's like, it's just like Penn State wrestling. When they won their first title, a lot of college wrestling fans around the country are like, oh, cool, man, new blood. Yeah, good job, Penn State. Now they're like, hey, beat the crap out of Penn State. Get them out of there. We need somebody new. So I'm in the same boat. I mean, I have nothing against. I like the coach. I like the hard not to like Mahomes and Kelsey. I mean, there's nothing I don't like. It's just I want new blood in there. And again, I have sentiment, I guess, for the Buffalo Bills. So that one was a tough one to take. And man, do I feel for the Bills fans. The flip side of that is, holy cow. Listen, I was in Michigan this past weekend, obviously, for the Michigan and Michigan State dual meets. And when I tell you, and I get it, I mean, right. This area in Pittsburgh is the same way, obviously, when the Steelers are making a run. But when I tell you that the Lions talk was everywhere, it was everywhere. I mean, you walk down any of the streets in Ann Arbor or East Lansing, and you would hear people talking about it. You saw Lions gear. You turned on the radio. The talk shows are talking about it. The local news shows are leading off with Super Bowl hopeful Detroit Lions back at home, trying to get to the NFC Championship game. And I did feel good for that organization and that fan base. I was really hoping for a Detroit Buffalo Super Bowl.
Pick them this week, Jeff. No,
I'm not picking
Jeff,
them.
No,
I'm not picking them because I don't think.
Oh no,
I don't think
you got Kansas City and Baltimore. You pick both of them to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
No,
I don't want it, but I think it's happening. Ravens,
to borrow
49ers.
a line from Harbaugh, and that is that Michigan is America's team right now when everything was going down over there. But I truly right now, currently, I feel like the Detroit Lions are the favorites of anybody outside of the three other teams of fan bases that are out there. I think Kansas City, I think they're done with it. I think the Kelsey, Mahomes, Andy Reid being on every third commercial, I think people are born tired of it. Baltimore is just Baltimore.
It's the Ravens.
It's the Ravens.
You have to despise them.
There's just
any right-thinking human being despises
about what they do personally.
The Baltimore Ravens.
And they're coached by a guy named Harbaugh. So it's again, I just can't get into it. I can't do it. And then the 49ers, as much as the guy who works here, we love him that much. But you just watch them play. And I'm going to say this. This is how I feel. Okay, you used to watch the 80s, 90s, and 2000s Florida State teams, and there was a lot of jibber-jabber, a lot of trash talk going on after every play, a lot of fights and this and that. And then even when we played them in the Orange Bowl, our guys were getting into it, and it's like, don't play their game. That's what they want you to do. And you watch the 49ers, and every play there's a fight. Every play there's pushing and shoving, yapping going on, a lot of TSing going on, a lot of pushing and shoving, a lot of this and a lot of that. And it's just they're a team. They're a fun team not to like in my opinion. I mean,
I don't disagree.
I'm sorry, but the 80s 49ers, Montana Rice, and all those guys, they were likable. Roger Craig, Tom Rathman.
Yeah,
they were likable.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be like, all right, I can root for those guys and this and that. But you watch the San Francisco 49ers now, and it's just like every play they're up yapping. And it reminds you of, Baltimore, but I don't think Baltimore's even talking that much trash anymore.
This year they
they're
have not.
Just they are just saying we are so much tougher than you, bigger, stronger, faster, and tougher than you, that we're going to wear you out. It's just the bottom line.
Well,
and the fact that Lamar, and you have to make him throw the ball, okay? And he proved the other day that I can throw the ball finally, because that has been the bugaboo against him for years, has been making him throw the ball in the playoffs. But guess what? He didn't have RG3. He didn't have Zay Flowers. He didn't have Andrews and all these guys. Well, he's had Andrews, but he didn't have those guys before. And now he has some weapons on the outside where he can throw the ball. And if you do want to put 6 defensive backs on the field right there, they have a run game that can punish you.
Yeah, but his running ability does completely open up that offense.
Yeah,
like all of the things they do is I think in large part set up because of the threat that is always there of him taking it. And the thing is, it is one of those situations, Goon, where you can play, let's say they get 70 plays in a game. You could play him and them perfectly or really well, like 65 of those plays, and they are going to burn you on the one or two. Like it is amazing how consistently when he's in there, like, oh man, they bought him up pretty well. Oh, yeah, he just scored a touchdown.
Well, it's like a left tackle in the NFL. 70 plays in the NFL, 70 offensive snaps. You block Bruce Smith or Reggie Wright for 69 of those plays. Then he gets you in the third quarter for a sack, and you had a bad game.
Well, if it's a strip sack, it's even worse.
It's like, wow. I mean, and he gets one sack a game. That's 17 sacks a season. He's in the Hall of Fame with that. He just needs one a game. So it's tough. But he has the ability every play to go to the house. Every play. Pass, run, whatever.
Yeah.
He's a dynamic, and he is what the NFL, I mean, he is. I had this conversation with my older brother this weekend, and that was, I remember watching the Super Bowl because we were talking about Harbaugh going back to the NFL. And somebody was like, well, he stunk in the NFL. I'm like, how did he stink in the NFL? He took a team to the Super Bowl. I mean, not many guys can say that.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about how I mean, I personally, whatever happened to Colin Kaepernick happened, whatever your feelings or whatever about him. But as a player, before he started doing all his kneeling and all that stuff, he changed the game. His run pass options, RPO stuff that they were running back then was dynamic, was unbelievable. And I really, really, truly think that it changed the game. Like you're not having a Lamar Jackson type of guy. But we also talk about how in high school you're putting your best athletes, used to be running backs when we were growing up. Now they're putting your best athlete at quarterback, and they're saying, okay, make plays. And that's trickled. Then we've come to that point now where no one has any kind of drop back quarterback anymore. You have to have a running quarterback type of thing because you're not making them anymore. But Kaepernick, he changed the game. I think he, like I said, he was in the Super Bowl. The run pass options and stuff like that were people had no idea what they were doing. And they needed a couple of years to get them to understand how to stop that. But Lamar, wow. I mean, he's Randall Cunningham. He's Michael Vick type of thing. But a winner. Tough as nails, and he has.
He's got to win though on the biggest stages. Still.
Yeah, and
that's been the one thing that people have held against him. And so this is right. This feels like a huge opportunity for him to get over.
Was Mr. Harbaugh a defensive coach or an offensive coach? Do you know? Because I'm going to say
John or Jim,
the dad. Because both of his kids have just they've made teams that are just bludgeoning people.
Yeah. I don't know that with the dad. Yeah, Kelsey. Thomas says, Kelsey reminds me of Ironhead back in college. I was never in an NFL suite.
It was 6 years ago.
I was never in an NFL suite in college.
Ooh, nice. But I was definitely the topless guy a lot in college.
Yeah, I may have
into my 30s and possible 40s.
May have had some moments there myself.
It was our thing. It is what it is. So,
let's talk. Detroit,
Green Bay
again, kind of took care of business. Green Bay, I will say, the kicker again, costly. I did not think they got a good spot there, right? Like that. I don't know. I mean, it's.
Not a questionable
They
stuff.
say it's a game of inches. It just seemed, yes, there were a lot of things there. It's like, oh, really? And they just seem to all go against Green Bay in that particular game. I mean, I think Green Bay and Buffalo kind of similar in that regard, where it's like, oh, man, you felt like both teams kind of did what they needed to do to probably pull the upset and just neither quite got it. Got over the hump with it. And yeah, I thought the Ravens were probably the most impressive team.
They had a 3-week layoff
on the weekend. Yeah, the first half. Yep, kicked off the rust, and then man, did they get it rolling, unfortunately, in the second half.
By the way, nice segue to the refereeing thing.
Yes. Let's go ahead and but I was hoping so much for a Bills-Lions Super Bowl. Would that not have been like, oh my gosh, the storylines? But we're going to end up with the Ravens 49ers.
Does the winner get Lake Erie? I'm telling you, Detroit can beat the 49ers. If Debo doesn't play, that's a. Do I think? Yeah, I mean, I think they can, but do I think they do? I mean, Detroit they are possessed, man. They are a team on the march.
I really like. Of the 4 teams remaining, I'm okay with Kansas City. I mean, I just like you said, I'm just kind of tired of them. I just, because of the rivalry with the Steelers, I despise the Ravens and I don't want them in there.
This would
the
be
49ers,
Super Bowl for them, right?
I would not be thrilled with, but that doesn't really bother me. Ravens are the only team that would really eat at me if they win. But yeah, the Detroit Lions, I'm with probably most of America. It's like, yeah, let's get that franchise a Super Bowl here. That would be cool. All right, let's go to the officiating.
No, it was just announced today that my old teammate Terry Killens,
pretty cool stuff,
he's going to be the head of the umpire in the Super Bowl this year. He was selected out of I don't know how many umpires there are in the NFL, but TK is the first ever is the first Penn State player to be referee in the Super Bowl, the first ever NFL player to play in the Super Bowl, and now he's refereeing a Super Bowl. And I don't know if there's any other players from the NFL that actually went into the refereeing thing. And you think the NFL would make a bigger thing of it?
Yeah, I don't. It's a good question. We were talking about it, and and maybe there's been a bunch of them, but I don't remember ever hearing about a former player from the NFL then going into officiating NFL games, and certainly I don't remember one going and officiating the Super Bowl. But I can't think of. I mean, it has to have happened, but I'm not aware of a player even that
went into the referee. I don't.
Yeah, that finished up his NFL career and then went into NFL officiating.
I mean, Hockley had the guns.
Yeah,
but I don't think he has the body strength to play in the NFL though. But I mean, I don't know if anybody has me on Facebook, but my comment today about TK was he was the one every day complaining he was being held by you're holding. And now he's an umpire. Now he's in charge of calling holds and
the flag's going to be flying.
I've watched many games that he does, and he is in the players' faces, not yelling at them, but just telling them. That's all you ask as a player.
Yeah.
The hubbub this year with the Chiefs being offside, the referee should have told him that before, and that's true. You do sort of get a little bit of a window of hey, move up on the line of scrimmage, move back on the line of scrimmage, or a guy like Terry would be like, hey, listen, I watch your hands there. Keep them inside, big boy,
Yeah.
Hey, watch it. That was close. That was a close one, but I think TK's done a heck of a job this year. Every game that I've watched that I've seen him out there, I think it's TK right there in the Bills.
Yeah, it was. I was just about to say
breaking him a fight. He just clubbed somebody. he's wrecking shop down there. So, but TK, God bless him. Younger guy. He's actually a year younger. So he probably just turned 50. God forbid. God bless her. But his wife had passed away a couple of years ago of the C word. He's out there doing what he wants to do. I think he has 4 children. Terry was always a great guy. Heck of a player, too. I mean, he played for the Tennessee. I guess he would have been he drafted by the Houston Oilers. I'm not old, Jeff. I played against the Houston Oilers. Him and Bunny Rabbit, Mike Archie, were drafted by the Houston Oilers before they became the Texans.
Right. Yep.
And then we had played together in a game down in the Astrodome. I played.
There you go.
In my half a hoagie and half a cup of coffee in the NFL. So yeah, TK, that's great news. I mean, I actually will go home. I will find out. I'm sure probably somebody's on it already, but to see if any NFL players had become referees and see if they had ever done. I can't imagine somebody not becoming a referee out of
there has to have been
in the NFL.
Agreed. There has to have been some over the years here, but I don't ever remember hearing about it.
But you'd think the NFL would make a sort of a thing about it, type of thing.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't know.
Stephon Diggs' brother over here at the one from the Cowboys. Did you see the comment he made?
Who, Diggs?
His brother, that one from the Cowboys. He was at the game watching Stephon play for the Bills, and he goes. Somebody said, "Oh, look, he ain't jumping around with no shirt on with his brother." And somebody's comment. This is why the internet is undefeated. So what was he going to do? Jump up every time Stephon dropped a pass?
Oh,
because that was a touchdown.
Oh, yeah. No,
and that
it
is a
was.
dude who constantly has issues with Josh. Constantly. They're always at each other's throat to the sideline. And I know the wide receiver type, they're prima donna type of guys and stuff like that. They're always open. They always want the ball thrown to them. And
yeah, you gotta make that one.
That was the play of it. That was, well, wouldn't have been the Minnesota Miracle would have been his play, but that play would have been the ultimate play in the Buffalo Bills history if he had made that snag right there. And he should have. It went right through his hands. And you act and you talk and you hold yourself up that you are this type of number one guy type of thing. You make that catch. Great players make that catch. And he just seemed to do it a bunch throughout the whole day and stuff like that. So
it was tough. And listen, I mean, games played by human beings, the greatest of the great, have certainly plays and games where they're off. But boy, that one hurt for sure. If you're a Bills fan, and it was just a night where you kept thinking this is going to be their night, and then it just wasn't.
I think they were thinking that too.
Oh, I mean, they were the crowd, whole game.
Fans, you could.
Well, the crowd. I'm telling you, when that field goal sailed wide right, that is. I mean, there's been a lot of for me, it'll puts me in mind of Francisco Cabrera, but it's that same time. I can't believe in the opposite way that was said about Kirk Gibson.
I appreciate you saying Francisco Cabrera because I thought you were going to go with the Joe Carter reference.
Well, that one I took some joy in, to be honest with you. I was down at the first.
Admit it.
Yep, I was down at the first watching it with some Phillies fans and some Pirates fans.
We're pumped. I get it. We deserve everything
holy
we get.
Cow.
Yep.
I do not believe what I just saw.
I had a huge party in my apartment that night. I believe we had a game or something like that, maybe. Maybe at a game or a bye week, whatever. But I had a big party at the house, and we're all sitting there drinking this and that. And before that ball actually hit the outfield, before it went over the fence, I had already stood up and kicked everybody out of my house. I literally threw everybody out of my house physically. I threw 100 people out of that room in 0.1 seconds. That's how fast it took to get that ball to get out of there. So, yes, that was a devastating, but that was watching wide right type of thing. But the fact that it was wide right again.
Oh, it was. And how about Nance was right on it with the call.
Tortured, man. Those people are tortured.
Brutal. All right, we'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll talk some Penn State wrestling and some Penn State basketball. You are listening to the Lion Country Kia, Goon, and Ironhead show. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube, where we love to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 5. By the way, we do have high school wrestling coming up tonight on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox, Bald Eagle area at Belfont, and that'll be a 7 o'clock match. Todd and Norm Brown will be on the air starting at 6:45 this season.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Your hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Seoka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Seoka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Seoka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Seoka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Seoka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
Derby.
Yeah, Pinewood Derby tonight.
Pinewood Derby tonight.
Yes, we have Pack 67, Pinewood Derby tonight. Be there or be square. Yeah, we're fired up for it, and I get to do the announcing for that. So the dear Booch will be kindly getting us on the air with the Browns with the Bellefonte Bald Eagle area match tonight.
Ted, if you want to hear my Pinewood Derby story, I can tell it to you. If you want to hear it.
Of course I want to hear it.
My dad owns a tire business outside of Philadelphia area, so grew up wearing the tires. So he helps me make my car for the Pinewood Derby. Guess what the hell happened to my car? Freaking tire fell off.
Oh, no.
How do you have a tire man's kid wheel fell off his car?
Oh, my gosh.
Right?
That's like
is there still rampant cheating going on? Like, are the kids supposed to do it? But you literally go out there and your best friend whose dad's an engineer.
Yeah, depending on the age, I think most of the kids, at least in our pack, I think they're doing most of the work. Again, it's a little age dependent. Obviously, the 5 and 6 year olds are getting a little more help from mom and dad, but. Yeah, the Mad Turtle did about 95% of the work, I would say, this year. I did 0% this year. He did it while I was out of town. So, but the car looks good. And do you know what his car is? So he's become this big Miami Dolphins fan. And, his grandparents and his mom helped him. But he did, he did it. But he has it's the Miami Dolphins colors, like the blue with the orange stripe down the middle.
Yeah.
And then he has, it's the Jalen Waddle car. He has 17 on it. Waddle's his favorite receiver, and 2 is his favorite probably overall player.
I would love to know why younger kids are attracted to Miami, because it's not uncommon.
I think part of it is the color scheme, right? Like, I think that's part of it.
Yeah,
I don't know for sure either, but I think, and listen, the offensive, he started following them, and it's a relative, we'll have the game on and he's all fired up, and then 5 minutes into it, he's off to something else. So, which is fine, but we're not actually
the jerseys.
Yes, no, but he has the jersey, and he, but I think the offensive assault that they opened up the season with also at least factored in the Mad Turtles decision, because it was pretty early this year that he decided, the Dolphins were going to be his team.
I have an unreal story for you, and you will really, really appreciate this one. It's full of stories today is what I am, Joe.
I like it. Story time with Goon is always a good time.
I did this thing when I lived in Richmond, Virginia called Camp Comfort Zone. It was for children's grieving. They would go away for a weekend at a time at like an overnight camp, and you had counselors, professional counselors there. And then you had big brothers, like big sisters, like me, and some other people. We had volunteered for this thing. So, kid I had, a little kid from Richmond, Virginia. He shows up, and they say, bring something that reminds you of a person that you're grieving for, and it was his father. And this is a 7 or 8 year old, 10-year-old kid who, his father had passed, and his father was a huge Miami Dolphins fan, and they had no idea about me or my brother, or they knew I was a football player, but they figured, oh, this kid likes sports. He's a bigger kid. We'll put him with Conlon. So I'm like, all right. So I go there, and there's 700 kids there. So you get matched up, and, so I have this guy. I'm hanging out with him. I'm helping him through. You're not supposed to, like, do anything, like, talk to him in this because they have professional people who are bringing that out.
Right.
You're just hanging out with them, going out, playing toss football, having lunch with them, doing the fires and stuff like that. So you're just hanging out, being cool with them. So they said, bring something along with you that reminds you of your person that you're grieving, your lost one. He had 1988 Miami Dolphins football program. And my dad was a Miami Dolphins fan. He loved the Miami Dolphins. I said, dude, I went through it, and I pulled up my brother, and I said, look, who's number 67 right there? And he goes, is that you? I said, no, but it looks a lot like me, doesn't it? I said, that's my brother.
No,
and the people that were, they were like, oh my God. Like, they could not believe, like, they now they had no idea the kid was a Dolphins fan. They just knew he was a very good athlete, a big kid who, and they just figured it was a good match for me. But he shows up, and it was like this little, like, it looked like a pound cake. It was only about 4 inches, wide, and then like an 8 inches long. So it was one of those almanac type of things.
Yep.
And it was the Miami Dolphins 1988 yearbook. And there's a picture of mine. And I'm like, dude, I said, look at that.
That is.
And he goes, is that you, Keith? Big Keith? He called me Big Keith. And he goes, is that you, Big Keith? I said, no, but it's pretty close. I said, that's my brother. And he was stunned. He could not believe it. And then all the people that were there, we were there with, could not believe it. They were like, there's no, like, the coincidences of that are amazing type of stuff. That was pretty cool.
That's
unbelievably
cool.
There are good Goon stories. And now I got to get back to the Jason Kelsey topless stories,
Oh, yeah. Good times. Let's start with Penn State basketball real quickly. I did not show up, obviously, in Columbus at the start. I mean, that was just brutal to watch.
Yeah, it was.
And I think it's one of those things where, and they even talked about it in the pregame on the Big Ten Network. It's like when you come off a win like that, it can be tough, especially when you're going on the road then, to kind of keep that same energy and same focus and all of that. And they obviously didn't. I think part of that is just the growing pains of a young program under new coaching, new direction. And also, I think when you have a group of people that are just coming together for the first time, right? Like, it's hard to figure it out on the road in the conference. And I do think they probably got a little caught up in the feeling good about that Wisconsin
win. Beat Ohio State before, right?
Which is understandably. Yeah, but here.
And there was a little revenge factor.
Oh, yeah. No, Ohio State. I mean,
yeah.
There's no question. Part of it was Ohio State was ready and raring, and they understood the importance of that game for them. And it was, critical that Ohio State win it. Losing isn't, to me, that big of a deal in and of itself. It's just that you were hoping that they'd maybe show up and compete a little better from the get-go. But I'm excited to see what this team does the remainder of the season. I think at home, they're going to be competitive with anybody and everybody. It's now between now and over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Any idea why?
Can you take that game on the road?
Is there you have any idea why we can play well at home, we don't play well on the road?
Well, I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I think it's a scenario.
Go ahead. I think it's all the typical.
We don't play in a huge arena.
Yeah.
We play in a pretty big arena that's rather empty, and it's not easy. You and I did that thing 2 years ago when we went down and shoot the free throws and stuff like that. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
How hard it was?
Oh, yeah. It
I
is.
couldn't believe how. I mean, I haven't played basketball in 15, 20 years, like physically played basketball. I mean, I'm taking shots, but dude,
yeah.
I mean, I couldn't throw a boat in the ocean. I mean, with how the depth perception of the whole background
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's not easy to come in and play there. Then you have a team they have a good little crowd, or they're right on top of you. They're yelling, they're screaming. You're not going to. I mean, Big Ten teams are not going to get overwhelmed by the fans, but the depth perception of shooting is an issue, and I think that we do pretty well at home. That's my theory. But
no, I think
you
that's
still
a factor.
you still got to go on the road and do that. You still be able to go on the road and shock some people.
Well, yeah, and at least compete. We'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out.
So that's two in a row, though. Not 2 in a row, but the week before was Purdue
on the road. Again, Purdue to me was a little different. The matchup issue inside there was. I don't know how you. I don't think you do solve that this year. Like, that's just a deficiency, and they have exactly the perfect person to exploit it. And I'm not exactly sure what you can do about that, to be honest with you. But Ohio State, I thought they'd be competitive. I thought going in they had a chance to maybe sneak out a season sweep there. But man, you fall behind 16-0. It's a pretty long day's work just to try to get back to a respectable score. Penn State wrestling. Listen, Goon, this team is obviously really special, really good. What is, and I've been touting the depth on this team from day one, but even I am a little, I don't know if surprised, but impressed with just how good and how effective the non-starters have been when asked to step in clutch situations. Terrell Barraclaw, again, takes on a 3-time All-American, a national champion in their facility, and goes up a weight class to do it. I mean, he is giving up a weight class, and we were talking on the way back, a few of us in the vans, if I would have loved to have seen that match play out if Terrell had just given up the escape and not the reversal in that second period. I think he had Shane Griffith flustered to the point that Griffith did not know how to score. I don't think he was going to score on Barraclaw. And I think if that thing had gone to sudden victory, and again, would have, could have, should have, I get it.
Yep.
But I really do. I think Terrell Barraclaw would have knocked off the 4th-ranked wrestler in the country and pulled off one of the great upsets in college wrestling. As it was, again, 2-1 loss to going up a weight class against the 4th-ranked guy in the country. Not bad for your backup 165 pounder.
When did he know that he was wrestling? When did Michigan know?
I don't think Michigan knew until weigh-ins. I don't think Terrell knew. No, it would have been 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The match was at 5. It's a 2-hour weigh-ins now this year. Terrell, I think, probably at least had a pretty good idea the night before. I don't know for sure if they knew. I know he for sure knew Friday morning. Terrell did, because Carter did not go over to work out Thursday. He was, I think, trying to just rest himself up and get himself feeling better.
You don't want him around the guys either, though.
What's that?
You don't want him around the other guys either, though.
No. Well, that was, And so when he didn't go over Friday morning, we kind of all knew that Terrell was going to get the call.
Okay, so they find out at 3 o'clock. The dude had never wrestled Barraclaw before, ever. Like, had he wrestled Starachi, obviously, a couple times, and that's right?
I don't think they've ever faced each other, because Griffith was a 65-pounder.
Okay.
That's where he won his national title. So, no, he's never wrestled Starachi either.
And there goes my whole story, Ironhead.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, it just was one of those things. You don't know who you're wrestling until 2 hours before. And then
I'm sure he was preparing for Starachi, but
you have no history versus the guy. And you say that a lot of these guys wrestle against each other now growing up more because they see each other growing up in different tournaments and stuff like that. So he had no idea who the heck he was wrestling probably.
Yeah. No, it was an impressive outing all around for Penn State. The one thing...
Kale's pretty good.
I will say with Braden Davis, the 25-pounder obviously got a huge win over Michael D'Agostino, and Davis looks like he's 12, but wrestles like he's a veteran. 10, you think 8? Where are we at with you? Yeah, he's a young-looking kid, but a lot of impressive things about him. The thing I've been most impressed about is his ability on top as a true freshman to be as effective. I mean, he got the riding time point on DiAgostino. You're talking about,
isn't DiAgostino known as a rider? You said last week.
Yeah, I mean he's good on top, but you're talking about a 6-year veteran. It's more his ability to get out from underneath. You just don't expect a freshman, no matter how talented, and there's obviously exceptions to go back over the years, but you don't expect a freshman to ride a 5th or 6th year senior. And I mean, Braden has been consistently riding everybody this year. I mean, he's picked up riding time points, I think, in all but one of the dual meets. I think actually the one with Lujan on Sunday was the first duel that he didn't get the riding time point in. By the way, he is up to number 4. He vaulted up. I knew he was going to move up.
Holy crap.
But he is number 4 in the Intermat rankings this week. And it's interesting. Drake Ayala, who had been number 1 and lost to number 2, Tony Ramos from Purdue, dropped all the way to 5. So they have him behind Davis. And I mean, it doesn't really matter one way or the other, to be honest with you, at this stage of the season. But I found that very interesting, that they think enough of that win. The DiAgostino win was the key, obviously, for Davis moving up. Yeah, but he and Ayala are going to face off here in a couple of weeks anyways.
So me and my younger brother, we were at home, obviously, for a funeral, like I said. So I'm with my brother who, watches wrestling, but I'm probably about 7 or 8 years ahead of him, wrestling, watching types of things.
Yeah.
And his wife knows nothing about wrestling. And we got it. They were watching it and they were getting into it. I was trying to explain to each of them this and that, the nuances. And, you got to realize that this guy is this young. You have no idea. This guy's a 6-year senior who has actually wrestled in national titles and been in Final Fours, did all this and all that. And this is a 7-year-old coming out there and working.
Yeah.
Just getting it done. And we were just laughing at one, when the kid came running out, my sister-in-law was like, "What is that?" I said, well, he weighs 125 pounds. And 2 is that he is a true freshman, second-year redshirt freshman.
No, true freshman. Yeah.
Yep.
Just won a state title last year.
They were like, this is unbelievable. And I was like, dude, I mean, this kid comes to Penn State and, did he have all the hubbub?
So, yes. I mean, to a certain degree. I mean, he was a 4-time Michigan State champion.
Correct.
And, one of the neat, so I will say, I was in his van throughout the weekend. So he is just a remarkably nice and polite kid. Like, he really is. And I think he's still just kind of processing everything that's involved with making the transition here to the collegiate level. But he's very coachable. And when I say he's a winner, I mean, I think we probably tend to overuse that term sometimes in sports. That guy's just a winner. Yep. But listen, this guy won a state title all 4 years of his high school career. His team, Dundee High School, won the state team championship all 4 years he was in high school. And
there's no losing.
He was a summa cum laude student.
Oh, we had that.
So this guy, clearly geniuses all around. So, I mean, the guy, like, he is a guy that is accustomed to success. Like, he is a high achiever and is used to being around high achievers. So I think he is very comfortable in the Penn State culture.
Winning breeds winning.
And yes, and I think the biggest thing for him, and I think that they have successfully done it, is to get him to focus not on winning, but on getting better, on working on little things here and there, making adjustments, based on what you did against this opponent and what that guy did that worked against you. And he has really done an extremely good job of just getting a little better every day, week to week, taking the lessons learned, figuring things out that will work and that do translate, and maybe some things that, we'll put in the hip pocket for now and maybe bring back another day once we work on them a little more. He's a very, he's obviously a very intelligent kid, period, but he's a very wrestling savvy kid. He understands it and can make adjustments during the bouts, and he does not get phased. I was kind of trying to get his temperature a little bit when we were going to the arena, because he's from Michigan. A lot of people, he had some fans there at the Michigan State match too, but I mean, a whole lot of people, family and friends, were coming to that Michigan dual meet to watch him and to watch the meet. And that can produce a little anxiety. And listen, I'm sure there were some butterflies going on internally, but the kid was just cool as a cucumber, telling some jokes, just very low-key.
He's a killer.
Yeah, he just
nice.
He has a maturity that is well beyond his years and his baby face. That is for sure. But listen, I do think I've had a couple. I've been on some podcasts and stuff, and people are asking me, isn't it a bummer that Van Ness is out? Because if Van Ness was there, I really think this team could have set the scoring record. And I'm like, I got news for you. Yes, the chances would be better with Van Ness in there, but I think that 170 is still very much in reach. And I'm not predicting it. I'm not trying to put additional pressure on this team. I don't think I don't think it has to achieve that for this to be a successful season, obviously. But listen, they have the rankings that came out today from Intermat. They now have 8 wrestlers. I think I have this right. 8 wrestlers ranked in the top 5, including 4 number 1. No other school, by the way, has more than 1 number 1 ranked wrestler. So they have 4 ranked number 1. They have 8 in the top 5. Yep. They have 9 ranked in the top 7. So that we're clear, the top 8 earn All-America honors. There has been one team in the history of NCAA wrestling that had 10 All-Americans.
Minnesota.
Yes. And
not one national title.
They won the national title, and they did not have any of the wrestlers correct in the not only not win a title, but none were in the finals. All 10 of their wrestlers finished between 3rd and 8th. They did not even have a finalist, but all 10 All-Americans.
Wow.
So Penn State right now, and again, the rankings, I get it. They don't assure anything. But right now you have, again, 8 wrestlers ranked in the top 5. You have 9 wrestlers ranked in the top 7, meaning that if they wrestled to their rankings, you would have 9 All-Americans, 4 national champions, 5 in the finals. And Tyler Kasak, at the moment, the only one not ranked in the top 8, is 12th. And I think just haven't seen enough of him yet to know exactly where he belongs. But even at number 12, you are clearly a threat to be an All-American. I mean, this team, even as currently comprised, even with Van Ness out of the mix, is, again, in contention to go down as one of the greatest. And I think right now still has a chance to go down as the greatest wrestling team in the history of college wrestling. It's going to be a fun rest of the season. We'll see how it shakes out. That is going to wrap up our show today. We thank you for listening. We will be back on Thursday with a brand new edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Your hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.